Hello guys, and welcome to your 44th Java tutorial, in which we're going to be going over strings. Now you may be saying, hey, why the heck are we going over strings? It's this late point in the game, as so to speak, but I'm just gonna revisit the string topic because I don't think we've really covered it in as much depth as is necessary. Because really, strings are a lot more than just strings of characters that we store in variables. We can perform a lot of stuff to these strings, a lot of different methods, functions that are very cool, and I think you guys will like them. So, to start this tutorial off, let's go ahead and create a string S. Let's call this incredible string word, and let's create another string S1 and call that wordier word. How great is that? Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and demonstrate our first string method. And what method is this exactly? Well, it is the dot uppercase method. Dot to uppercase, to be exact. S dot to uppercase, what exactly does this do? Well, it's kind of self-explanatory. To uppercase will simply make all of the characters in the string uppercase, and in this case those characters will be printed out on the screen. So let's go ahead and hit that OK button, and shabam, our word is now word with more exclamation. And as you may have guessed, this also works in the other way around. We can say to lowercase if our string was in all caps. If we run this, we will get a completely lowercase word. If our string is in all caps or partially in caps or whatever. So, those two methods are nice and easy, but what else do we have to offer? Well, we can also use two different methods, starts with and ends with, to check whether the certain string starts with or ends with a single character or a certain string. But either way, let's move on to the demonstration. So let's go S1 dot starts with word. So if we have our string S1, and if it starts with the string word, we want to print out something like this. There we go. Let's print out S1 starts with word. With word, better spell that correctly. As it's spelled here, I mean. But if S1 starts with word, we want to print this message out. Why not? Let's add some pizzazz. Like so. Pizzazz has been added, and we can test this thing out. So S1 dot starts with word, and look at this amazing message. S1 dot starts with word, lol, la, lol. Nice. That is a beautiful string right there. So we can do the same thing with ends with. If that string ends with this little string, smaller string, then we still want to print that message out. And in the case of wordier word, we will have a true value for that, because wordier word does indeed end with word, and it starts with it as well. So those were the quick demonstration of the starts with and ends with methods. So clearly, we've definitely seen this execute as a true condition. We can also see it execute as a false condition if we check this on S. On our string S, we will get absolutely nothing. Shabam. Nothing after that first printed out word, because S does not end with word. Alright, next method. So we have essentially two different equals methods. One is s dot equals s1, like so. We can test if s is equal to in string value to s1, or we can test this by ignoring the cases. So if we have wordier word with a ton of random caps in the middle, we can essentially just test their values by ignoring the case. Just test their string values by using this method here. And if we actually make an example that makes some sense, like this example, we will see that this executes correctly. And let's change this println to s1 and s are equal. Yay. Or aya, whatever you want. So, if we run the program, we will get a very nice display here. S1 and S are equal, aya. Yeah. Alright. So, equals.ignore case clearly does work, but equals, as I've mentioned earlier, should not. And let's just do a really fast demonstration. No, it does not. It does not execute because S does not equal S1 if we do not ignore the case. Alright, solid. So what else can we conjure up with our magical power of string methods? Well, we can also perform a concatenation of two strings. And what a concatenation is when we simply add one string onto the other. We can add s to itself, as a matter of fact. So what this really will do is, let me just do this really fast. It'll print out word because what we did is we added s to itself and then we printed that out. We can also add s1 to s to the end of s and print that out as well. There we go. So just a different capitalization now. So concat, yeah, and concatenate is just a fancy word for add, to add together two things. Then we can also fetch a character from any string by using the char at method. So if we wanted to find the character that was at the 0th index of our s string, we could simply put s.char at 0, and we will just get back that first character w. And if we say an index of 3, we will get the last character in this string, which is d, as it is here. And if we put anything over that, we will get an out of bounds exception. So try not to do that. Alright, so the character at method is also works very similarly to the index of method. And what the index of method is, it returns, it's kind of the opposite of char at. It returns the actual character at, returns the index of the first instance of this character. So if we say have an instance of the character r, the first instance of this character r, it's going to return to us the index of the first instance. So if we have like a ton of r's here later on, it's only going to return the index of the first one, which is 0, 1, 2. So 2 is that index. That's what we should be looking for to be returned. And if we in fact do run this program, we will get that 2 back here. And we can actually also add another parameter to this index of method, like 4, for example, or another number. And all this is kind of like your offset. So it essentially says to start searching for R at index 4. So let me see where that is. It's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to start searching right here and return the first instance of R after that point, or at that point for the matter. And we get 4, which is essentially what this character right here. The first instance of R after this offset. And index of also works with a string. We can have, say, D R, like so. And we can find if we scroll down here, we'll get a -1, which means that no such thing occurred after the index of 4. So let's just change the index back to 2 or something at a smaller number. We hit this run OK, and we get the index of 3, which is in fact the start of that substring, this substring. Okay, speaking of substrings, that is also another thing that we can do with strings. We can cut out small substrings. We can either do it with a 1 index, like say 3, which will do, it'll navigate to index 3 and cut everything from that point to the end of the string out and return that as a substring. And we will get that down here. Or what we can do is we can specify a starting index and an ending index, something like this, which will cut out a substring between those two values. So, like so, with a space there. So that was the substring method. We really only have a few practical ones left. We can also have a replace method, which can either replace 2 characters or 2 strings. So let's replace, I don't know, every occurrence of R. Let's replace R with, I don't know, L. A random character that I just picked out off my keyboard. Now we have the same string with all instances of R returned as instances of L. Returned with just a ton of L's. And we can do the same thing with the string. Let's say JR. Instead of JR, let's replace that with ND or something of that type. So now we have word DR, RND, NDR. So I'm pretty sure you guys get the point at that actual level. So I believe that is almost it. There's really only one more that I can think of at this point, and that would be trim. And the trim method, what it does is it essentially removes the leading or trailing white space in a string. So if, let's say we just parsed this string from a file and we have a ton of leading white space and ending white space, trailing white space as it's called, and we actually print that out, we'll get our own string back. But if we print it without that trim method, we'll have a ton of white space to go along with that, and that is usually not what we want. So that was really it. You guys are now completely proficient with strings. You have a ton of methods that you know how to use, and hope you use them. Alright, thank you very much, guys, for watching. Have a great day, and peace.